Get ready to succeed using our cutting-edge high-trust strategies and achieve the success you've always dreamed of both on and off the job. Welcome to Todd Duncan TV. Are you ready?
Hey guys, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2018. It's going to be an exciting year. You know why? Because you are dedicated, you're disciplined, and you are absolutely devoted to being your best in 2018 and beyond, I might add. We're going to talk about 5 things that you can change to allow you to be charged up all year long. I don't know about you, but I think that there's an awful lot of people that kind of come at the day with a great plan, and a third or halfway through the day, the day changes on them, and then they spend all week trying to catch up. Some people stay committed, and by Wednesday the wheels fall off, and by Friday they can't wait for the weekend, and that's their recharge time. I would like to propose a overarching kind of template, if you will, that you could apply to the whole year. And by applying it to the whole year, you could be charged up more minutes per day than you are right now by 30, 40, maybe even 50%. How do I know this? I know this because I've spent the last 3 years coaching an elite group of performers in the mortgage space on how to be peak performers and what are the behaviors that go into staying charged up, staying focused. I'm not talking about charged up like just a train gunning down the tracks. I'm talking about charged up from a focus, from an acuity, from a purposeful standpoint, to the point that you are not a slave to the business, you're not a slave to the inefficiencies, you are not giving up your lifeblood to a business that is dysfunctional. Staying charged up all year long is a commitment you can make right now in week 1 as you map out kind of 2018 and beyond. So 5 changes, ideas. You may not be using any of these, and chances are you're not, and if you are, it's a change, right? And the change is going to take some time to take root, but that change is going to allow you to be charged up for the whole year. So what's number 1? Number 1 is called Make Every Day Vacation Day. What does that mean? Well, years and years and years ago, probably 1989, I got my first introduction to motivational speaking professionally, having lunch with Zig Ziglar. And Zig and I were talking, and he had just come off a speech at the National Speakers Association. And one of the things he said to this audience of thousands of people is, "Isn't it amazing how productive you become in the days and hours leading up to vacation?" And everybody kind of laughed, and I think you can probably go there right now, and you can think about, you're going to go to Tahiti for a week, you're going to go to Mexico for 4 days, or you're going to go to the mountains and snowboard for a week or whatever, and you got business, right? You got business you got to get done, and you'd like to kind of vacate from business on vacation so that you can really have an enjoyable time, right? So he said it's interesting that most people then, by that kind of deliberate thinking, not wanting to take the office with them, get very intentional about the things they do and don't do, the things they say yes to and say no to. And with the end goal being, once I get on that plane, or once I get on the snow, or once I get in the water, I want to be kind of unplugged, right? Because I want to charge up. And Zig said, what would happen if you really thought differently about vacation day? And he said, so what's more important, your life or vacation? And everybody in the audience, when he gave you option A, your life, said your life. Because obviously if you don't have your life, you don't have vacation. But in the purest sense of a decision, my life is more important than just simply going on vacation. So he said, isn't it interesting that you treat vacation, when those few times a year come up, in a different way than you actually treat your life every day? And I thought that was interesting, because if you really, really think about it, vacation should be living, right? Your time off the job should be fully alive. It should be the stuff that, personally you look forward to. And it should be the thing that life is made up of as you approach the end of each day, which can be similarly thought of as vacation day. The same principle can, in fact, take root. What do I mean by that? Well, if you want to do life and you decide that life starts at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock, whatever your time frame is, theoretically, you will be more productive during the day leading up to that time stamp because you've decided that on the other side of that timestamp is life. It's everything living. It can be family, it can be friends, it can be social, it can be workout, it can be health, it can be any of those things. And we don't do that. So here's what ends up happening. We're not charged up because the business batters us down. And an inefficient business, a dysfunctional business, is a business you can never win at because you're always pushing a rock down the road. You're always trying to go uphill. You're always raking water, which doesn't get you anywhere. So if I made every day vacation day and I had a start time and an end time, and I got very intentional about when I have to leave for my evening vacation, then I would get a lot more done during the day. Instead, what ends up happening is we don't think about this, and we end up making, and oftentimes the case, commitments to those we care about and love, and we don't and can't honor those. So if we have a very centered approach to making everyday vacation day, and we get done the most important things in the most important time frames first, and I'll talk about that as we go forward, then all of a sudden you have the magic of having your lifeblood replenished, oxygenated, if you will, fulfilled. You're able to take a breath. And just that gives you more juice and excitement and power and mojo the next day, right? Because if you don't take care of that kind of commitment, you will end up running out of gas. And what we know is the longer you work, the more hours you actually work in a given day without making these in-flight corrections, the less productive you actually become. Stanford University has a study out that after 55 hours, you're done. Between 50 hours and 55, you're at about 40% your effectiveness in your first 50 hours. Anything over 70 hours, the last 15 haven't amounted to anything. So check out what you're doing with your time and try to start making every day that kind of priority. Number 2 is to stay in your lane. What do I mean by that? Staying in your lane. When you think about it, the way to be charged up, the way to really, really be supercharged is to know that you're doing every day for the biggest part of the day what you're good at. Excuse me. If you think about it, you have a couple of gifts. And when you try to do something you're not good at, you go out of your lane. And when you go out of your lane, you're working, but you're not as productive. Your lane is defined as the one thing that you do naturally well that has the biggest impact on your business. Okay? That's your lane. Theoretically, it takes less time to execute in your lane. It brings you more joy more quickly. You're more efficient because it's a natural skill set. Your effectiveness and efficacy is much higher. When you stay in your lane, you have more joy, you have more happiness. You're able to get more juice out of what you do. And so there is a concept about being charged up, which is really about alignment, right? And staying in your lane is what brings you in alignment with what you're good at. I remember early in my life, I was probably 13 or 14, I went to my dad's hospital and I asked my dad, who was a physician, I said, he was a radiologist, I said, Dad, how come you don't take the x-rays? And my dad said, because I get paid the most to read them. And we began talking about that as he said, this was my passion going to medical school. I love the body. I love the bones. I loved looking at what makes the infrastructure of the body actually sustainable. And his joy was then that part of medicine, not to mention that he got paid more to do that. And so being in your lane is where you don't have a lot of drag. You don't have a lot of effort with low ROI. It is your sweet spot, so to speak. And I'd like to make sure that you realize that when you talk about being charged up, when you don't have to work hard at what you're good at because it's a natural gift, think about how much longer your battery lasts, right? It's like too many apps open on your phone can drain the battery. You know, the same thing holds true with staying in your lane. One thing at a time, very few things. And then number 3 ends up being one of the big ideas, right? So this is called JAM. And I remember being in an elite program with Darren Hardy. He talked about making sure you had jam sessions, right? And it wasn't really defined except for what a jam session meant was a period of time where you were not interrupted, where you were actually doing the things that matter most. That was my takeaway. And so I began playing around with this, and it was interesting because when you think about a jam session, most people need to arrive at a point where they have one, right, to start with. And maybe that is like from 8:30 to 9 or 9 to 10, or maybe it's 8:30 to 10, whatever you want it to be. It could be a 30, 45, 60, 90-minute jam session. But imagine having that scheduled and knowing before the day goes sideways, you've got the best things done, the most important thing done. Maybe it's like making one commission by 10 o'clock. Maybe that is the jam session for the morning. And when you stop and think about it, using my father's analogy and make every day a vacation day, the more you jam, the more you produce. The more you're in your lane while you jam, the more you produce. And while you're in your lane jamming, you produce enough to be able to cut 2 or 3 hours off of your day as you think this through. So I was recently playing with one of our seminar groups, and I said, let's have a little contest, because somebody said, what does JAM stand for? And I said, besides the obvious. So I got about 22 entries, and I will tell you right now, I love these 2 outcomes. Just another million. So think about that for just a moment, right? This whole thing is about being in your lane and making more money so you have more freedom, right? But when you look at just another million, it has 2 meanings, right? If I'm a loan officer, just another $1 million in loans. If I'm a real estate agent, just another $1 million listing or another $1 million sale. And then it also has that application. If you jam long enough, it's just another million. It could be another million you make. And so this JAM becomes huge. And so the goal is to do 1, and then to move it to 2, and then to move it to 3, and then to move it to 4. If you could have like 6 hours a day jamming, and you would have maybe a couple hour sessions and a couple 90-minute sessions, and you were focused in on the stuff in your lane that you were really great at, and you had this principally centered like beginning and end of the day, think about how that would allow you to be charged up. There's no better feeling than knowing you're getting stuff done and being productive. So these 3 things are, I think, laying the groundwork. And then this one gets exciting. This is front-loading the week. And so by using a front-loading principle, what we're going to essentially do is not play an evenly balanced week. What we're going to do is we're going to front-load the first of our week. So let's just assume it's Monday, right? And so Monday could end up being a 12-hour day. All right. Now, here's what's important to point out. If I'm in my lane, the 12 hours are not 12 hours of labor because I'm in my lane and I'm doing the stuff that really, really works. I'm just doing more of it because I don't have as much drag and I don't have as much inertia and I don't have as much gravity because I'm in my lane, right? So if I front load Monday to 12 hours, Tuesday to 10 hours, Wednesday to 8, Thursday to 6, and Friday to 4, I can essentially on Friday at noon be done, right? And here's what's interesting. No matter how you apply this and no matter where it starts and where it stops, what we know about staying charged up is you've got to plug in to some source that charges you, right? And the best source that charges you is the source called time and rest. Okay, and so if I am front loading the week, what I'm essentially saying is come Friday at noon, I'm off the grid, which is number 5. But let's go back to front loading. So what's interesting about front loading is I have more free time, which means I have more time to recharge. I have more time to think. I have more time to do nothing. I have more time to enjoy. I have more time to rest. I have more time to be creative. I have more time to, and this finely tuned kind of machine then can come back to the front of the week next week and hit it hard. What does getting off the grid mean? Getting off the grid means unplugging from anything that takes your charge away. So it could be email, it could even be your phone. It could be having a day electronic free. It could be not checking messages. It could be, I mean, you can set this up. I'm not saying that you become a hermit. I'm just saying that whatever it is in the week that is taking and vying and getting to your time, you unplug from that. You get off the grid. You slow everything down. Because here's the drill. You are not paid based on the hours you work. You're paid on the hours you produce. There's a lot of full-time people that only produce half-time results. So the deal here is I'm not saying you don't work. Not at all. That's not the message I want you to hear here. In fact, anybody who wins works. But the real winners are the ones that work in their sweet spot, and they work diligently. They follow these 4 rules, and then they can take the time to recharge, whether it's getting home at 5 o'clock, whether it's taking Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. I know a producer in Oklahoma City who closes about 25 home loans a month, who works Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's it. She's got 4 children. She and her husband have decided this is her plan of attack. They do this. And if she can do in 3 days what the rest of the world takes 6, because she's following these principles, you can do it too. You're not paid on how many hours you work. You're paid on how many hours you produce. So the job of staying charged up is to change the things that dilute that charge, which is everything contrary to what I've just talked about. These 5 things: make every day vacation day, stay in your lane, jam just another million, do that once, then do it twice, then do it 3, then do it 4 times, front load the week, take more hours to the first day of the week and less hours to the last, and shift everything, and then get off the grid, unplug, recharge, reset, and you're going to be a dynamo for 2018. Okay? 5 changes to stay charged up. Thanks for watching this. If you value our videos, please share them with anybody in your ecosystem that you would like to have this message shared to. If you're a leader, share this with all your salespeople. You want them to be productive, and I do too. Okay? Thanks for watching Todd Duncan TV. Talk to you soon.